AI-generated text is now being used for high-stakes decision-making, from corporate strategy to academic research. One of the most revolutionary aspects has been deep research, the ability to rapidly synthesize vast amounts of information. It's fast, powerful, and game-changing. But let's be clear, it's not without risks. AI hallucinations still creep in. And when you're working in critical fields like journalism, healthcare, or academia, that can have serious ramifications. We've already seen firms lose money and reputation because of AI-generated misinformation. In high-risk sectors like healthcare, the cost of being wrong isn't just financial. It can be outright dangerous. That's why I built the BrainCube AI fact-checking tool, to layer a robust verification system on top of any AI-generated research, PowerPoint presentation, paper, or academic paper. And now, I've integrated that tool directly into a custom GPT, linked in the description below. You get all of the usual functionality of ChatGPT, but enhanced with the superpower of fact-checking, baked right in. So if you're a journalist, a medical researcher, a PhD student, a consultant, or just someone working in a high-stakes field where your reputation depends on the accuracy of your claims, you'll want to check this out. Let's jump into the demo. What I've done with this example is I've generated some AI deep research. So I'm acting as if I am a researcher in healthcare. I want to buy some healthcare businesses, specifically those that work on, let's say, agentic AI in the UK and EU markets. We're talking about B2B applications here, and we're talking about in healthcare. So I've chosen healthcare because it's obviously a high risk vertical. If you're doing any type of deep research in healthcare or any high risk vertical, you want to make sure that the research itself is all right. So why deep research? I chose deep research because it's being used as a foundation for a lot of AI generated things downstream as well. So you're talking about deep research being used as a foundation to create PowerPoint presentations, or to create consulting papers, or to create legal documents, and so on and so forth. So the accuracy of the deep research matters, and in high stake fields like healthcare, the accuracy is even more important. So you can see it's pretty extensive. There's a lot to go through here, and you would imagine, like, reading this, because of the way AI writes, sometimes things just sound plausible, and you could easily see how one could read this and not bother checking any of the claims in here. But that's what the fact check tool is indeed for. So yeah, now you can see the extent of the research. I'm going to go ahead and download that, and we'll load it into the fact check tool via the custom GPT integration, which should be exciting. We'll download it as a PDF. Okay, so that's with us, and I did already download a version, but it doesn't matter. All right, so now I'm going to pull up the BrainCube check tool. So you can access this via the link in the description to this video, but I have it open here on the side. I'm going to pull that up. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to attach that deep research. So if you're accessing this via ChatGPT, via the custom GPT, you will have to authenticate with the fact checker tool, which means having an account. I already have one, but I will step you through the authentication workflow. So you'll step in and it will look like this. And in my case, I already have an account, so I will sign in with Google. So once you're authenticated with the tool, you can actually upload a document. So let's bring in the PDF. So I'll say, please, you run a fact check on this. So you can see what it's pulling in here in terms of the actual PDF. So that looks okay to me. Let's hit confirm. So we stepped into the fact check workflow, and this will go off and run the fact check on that large piece of research, and then we can inspect that. And we have a choice here. We can either inspect that within the chat GPT window, which might be suitable for some of your workflows, or you can actually step into the fact check app, the fact check web app itself, and decide to inspect that there. So you can see our fact check job has actually started running. This is quite a lengthy report, so it will take some time to complete. Can take up to 15 minutes, but it could potentially be longer than that depending on the length of the fact check exercise. We're really pushing it because we're using on deep research, but I would imagine that most of the time you'd be using this on maybe a consulting paper or a PowerPoint presentation that you need to make sure all of the claims are correct. It wouldn't be of this length, but it can be used of this length. The other thing that this allows you to do while it's running in the background is we can actually visit the BrainCube Check app, and we can see the progress it's making there on the web app as we kick off the job. So there are a few limitations with using this in ChatGPT. Obviously, custom GPTs are limited in the way that OpenAI allows you to interact with your own custom backends. So therefore, while jobs are running, they run in the background and OpenAI closes the connection to those jobs. So if you want to monitor the progress of your fact check, you'll navigate to this link and you will see the progress as it's mapping out here. So we're still on the point where we're decomposing the document into its individual claims. So yeah, that's going to take some time. In the meantime, I'll pause the video and we'll come back when everything is completed. So let's check in again and let's see if we are any further, we've made any progress on the fact check tool itself. So I can ask, you completed the fact check. All right, so this shows the fact check agent receiving the job ID, and that's how we're going to confirm if the job has been completed or not. So just diving in now, and it looks like it has been completed, and we've got an overall score of 7.9 out of 10. 9 claims have been supported, 3 are mixed, 0 refuted, and 1 is insufficient evidence. So I will say this, the GPT extension of this is a nice to have. And if you're doing long documents, it's probably better to use it via the actual web app rather than the GPT. But the GPT does add a nice dimension to your fact-checking workflow too, because you can quite easily interact with your GPT. You can quite easily interact with the fact checker and have all of the standard functionality that OpenAI gives you via ChatGPT superpowered or supercharged with the fact checker too. So just to show you what the full workflow would look like, you can actually go into here and see the full report for the fact check, and you'll see everything available here too. And that's the same output that will be in the GPT. Now, if you did want to actually get a serious fact check done with a long document, I would recommend that you sign up to the Pro plan and leverage the actual uploading of the PDFs, because that's going to give you the best outcome when it comes to doing long document fact check. But for everything else, smaller documents, smaller, you're talking about PowerPoint presentations, papers, leveraging the GPT could be a good user workflow. So yeah, we get our fact check results, and we get our claims, whether something was supported, refuted, or there's insufficient evidence. So for each claim, we get a verdict, supported, we get a confidence score all generated by the fact checker, and then there's a rationale behind it as well. So there's quite a few supported claims here and some mixed claims. So here's an example of a mixed claim: 1 billion quarterly EU funding 2024-25. So what's good is you can interact with this like you interact with anything else in ChatGPT. It's an additional tool that adds that fact checking and verification layer to it. If you're interested, the link to both the web app and the GPT is in the description to this video. Check it out. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know any additional things you'd like to see in there as a fact checking tool. Thank you, and I'll see you on the next video.